Save the Second is a pro-Second Amendment organization. Through good or bad, we're here to help drive and save the NRA from itself and the Second from the infighting that happens among the Second Amendment supporters. Because without the Second, the rest will fall. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Save the Second or their employers. This show offers commentary on the latest news associated with the NRA and Save the Second's endeavor to promote a strong, relevant, effective, and accountable NRA.
Hello and welcome to the Save the Second podcast, episode 21. Today is Sunday, June 14th, 2020. Happy birthday to the U.S. Army. Ho. My name is Ron Carter. I'm the Vice President of Save the Second. Joining me is Anthony Garcia. It has been, I guess, nearly 3 months now since we did a podcast. Obviously, the whole coronavirus stuff has been absolutely crazy. Yeah. So for those of you that aren't familiar with who we are or what we're trying to do or any of that good stuff, well, first of all, we're trying to make the NRA better. I mean, that's the nutshell of it. But, you know, Anthony, who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? And why save the NRA?
Yeah, my name is Anthony Garcia. I'm the president of Save the Second. What I do, well, what we all do, is we're trying our best to get together like-minded members of the NRA and try to affect change inside that organization. Petitions, and then we're going to the members meeting here soon and try to get everybody together for that. It's kind of a difficult process, but one that we can accomplish, I think, if we all stay on task. As far as where I come from, I've been a pro-gun activist for the last decade now, at least. I've been involved some way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's who I am.
Well, I mean, you're pretty stinking awesome as a rights advocate and activist. Love it. Yeah, so I'm a firearms instructor. I love shooting firearms and I love teaching firearms. And I've been involved in the industry more or less as a hobby, but somewhat professionally for, probably 8 years now. I started to get instructor credentialing through the NRA, which is how the vast majority of instructors cut their teeth. You know, if you want to become an instructor, well, one of the first places you look is NRA instruction. So I've been doing that for quite a while now, and the NRA is near and dear to my heart because specifically of the education that is so necessary. I mean, if you look at the last 2-3 months, I mean, we've had millions and millions of background checks, the NICS system background checks. Heck, in the past 2 months, there were more background checks, not necessarily firearm purchases, but background checks for firearms completed than there are members of the NRA.
Now, I read somewhere a statistic that there were 2 million brand new gun owners created since the Corona scare has started.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Matter of fact, I would assume that it's more even after the George Floyd, protests and riots. So, I mean,
that started a whole new wave of gun buying. Yeah, there was the whole wave right after the coronavirus started. Everybody's like, "Oh crap, it's going to be zombies. All society's going to break down. This is bad." Panic, buy liquor, buy groceries, buy ammo, buy guns,
toilet paper.
and then it started to calm down, and people realized, hey, we're not actually going to get zombies. Like, just calm down. It's not that big of a deal. And then everything's cool. And then all of a sudden we get riots and everybody's like, oh shit, get back on the purchasing bandwagon, start buying more guns. And so we've got two different parts of society here. We've got people who were worried about civil unrest with coronavirus who went out there and bought guns and became new gun owners. And then you got people, again, who are actually starting to see it. And the people who are on the kind of the fence before, it's like, oh, I don't know if anything's going to actually happen. Then they actually see it. Riots, buildings being burnt down, people being shot in the streets. they actually see this starting to happen, they're like, oh crap, we need to buy a gun. So yeah, it's at least 2 million new gun owners. It's a lot. And a lot of those people, they're going to be looking around for a group to support. I'm sure most of them have heard of the NRA. They've probably been doing some Google searches. They've probably been looking around, seeing that, hey, there's actually a lot of funky business going on with the NRA, you know? And that's right where we're coming in right here. That's why I think this members meeting might be pretty lit. Now, I mean, it's not going to be brand new people coming, but it's going to be a lot of people that just have seen the exact same thing I just talked about. Firearms rights are getting a big boost because of the events we've just seen in this country. And the people who were kind of on the fence before about whether the NRA mattered or not, I think they're going to kind of be pushed over that fence a little bit. So,
yeah,
sorry,
absolutely.
tangent.
Oh, no. That's a very relevant tangent. That's where we are today. And of course, I think a lot of the stigma, the way that most people view the NRA right now is that they're just laced in identity politics. They're an extension of the Republican Party, or perhaps just an extension of the Trump presidential campaign or something of that nature. They're not looking at it in what it was founded to be, that educational basis, that foundation of responsible, safe firearms ownership and education, of course, that go along with marksmanship. Oh, yeah. So last year in April, I had a chance to attend the members meeting, which was in that year in Nashville. And that's where my advocacy or activism started in trying to reform the NRA. And that's how I linked up with Anthony and Rob Pincus and several others to try to find solutions to make the NRA better. If you're not familiar with where the NRA is right now, it's unfortunately impotent, potentially morally bankrupt, and has a systemic issue or a problem with its leadership being continually in the place of making, first of all, bad decisions, and then second of all, serving themselves versus serving the NRA or the American gun owner. What do you think, Anthony?
Talking about serving yourself. Now, I don't have this link right in front of me, but you shared this with me the other day. It was a quote from some news organization, but
Yep.
it talked about them basically admitting that WLP thought he was going to go to jail, and he hired Brewer to keep himself out of jail. Now we all know how much they're spending on Brewer. What was that back then? About $1 million a month, something like that. It was a ridiculous
probably
amount of
more.
money.
Yeah,
Probably more. And he basically admitted he knew he was going to go to jail, and he hired Brewer to keep himself out of jail and pay for it with the members' money. Now, I'm going to see if I can find the link to that article and post it, because everybody needs to read this article.
Well, and the reason that became exceptionally relevant was that was in writing as a court document. So let's back up. For those of you that aren't familiar with the NRA, the NRA is currently in the midst of, I don't know, 4 or 5 different civil suits. And then you have a criminal investigation by the New York Attorney General, the New York Department of Financial Services, the DC Attorney General. There's been potential for Florida, the state of Florida, to indict, or as I understand it, indict one of the NRA board of directors, Marion Hammer, who does work down there. We just mentioned WLP, which is the abbreviation for the head, as it is, of the NRA, the executive vice president, Wayne Lapierre. Wayne Lapierre, last year, about this time, it came out that he was spending money from going around or embezzling, I guess you would say, member money to buy suits and have luxury private jet travel. So it just everything about the past couple of years, including some of the educational programs, like, for example, I should say the educational program of Carry Guard. Carry Guard was a monumental disaster and absolute money pit that the NRA lost millions of dollars, our dollars, as members on. Now, that's not to say that the entire NRA is bad. And I want you to understand that. The entire NRA is not bad. But very similar to the problems in law enforcement today, a few bad apples spoils the whole bunch. And in this case, the executive vice president of the NRA, Wayne Lapierre, has taken zero responsibility. In fact, if anything, he's just pointing fingers at anyone else and saying that they're the reason that this is going on. They're the reason it was that. It's coronavirus. It's whatever. He's taken zero responsibility when in fact he's probably, well, I mean, he's the one behind the wheel. He's the captain of the ship, and the ship is going in the dirt. So that's where the NRA is right now. And it stands a very real chance of being utterly obliterated, closing doors, having the non-tax profit status completely destroyed by the New York Attorney General, because the NRA is chartered in the state of New York. So
Okay.
there's a lot there. Go ahead.
I found this article. I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs from this article real quick. And yes, I know that it's from the Trace, but they're referencing court documents here, so it's not BS. It's not just something they made up. Again, yes, I realize this is from the Trace. So it says, according to sworn statements filed this month from 3 Ackerman executives who attended the meeting, Lapierre sought to allay concerns about Brewer. Mr. Lapierre explained that Mr. Brewer was going to be gone in 30 to 60 days anyway, because he was going to have everything resolved with the New York Attorney General. So when WOP hired Brewer, he was relying on Brewer's connections to the Attorney General to get this thing resolved. All right. And that was stated by Ackerman executive Melanie Montgomery. She goes on, Mr. Lapierre repeatedly said that Mr. Brewer was the only person who could save the NRA from the New York AG, and that Mr. Brewer had some key relationships in the state of New York, and that Mr. Brewer, quote, knew how to fix this. All right, now we go on. Montgomery's statement, which is consistent with those from other executives, asserts that during a January 2019 meeting, Lapierre said numerous times that Mr. Brewer was the only person that was going to keep him out of jail. Pressed on why jail was a worry, Montgomery swore that Lapierre told everyone in the room that, quote, you don't know what you don't know. So Lapierre was worried about going to jail. If this account is accurate, and I don't know why it wouldn't be, but yes, this is now in filed court documents about this whole thing. And Lapierre was worried about going to jail. Now, this is something that we have been surmising since last April. Like, we kind of all thought this was one of the reasons that Brewer was brought on board in this whole situation, was to try to keep Lapierre out of jail, and that he's been using members' money to keep himself out of jail. But now we finally have something backing that up. So there we go. There's the article. I did post it in the comment section.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's terribly frustrating, because for any of us that truly care about the NRA and want the NRA to be awesome, it's blatantly obvious to us that the leadership is just either negligent, perhaps even criminally negligent, or completely oblivious to the fact that they're not doing a good job. They're doing a terrible job. They're allowing so much waste of member dues and donations. And, well, of course, you look at the NRA today, and the NRA headquarters is in chaos. The reason I say that is because, A, there's a director election. The NRA board of directors, there's 76 board of directors, and they have an election each year where they elect a certain amount of directors. And we had that election wrap up at the end of March, and we still do not know the results. And because, of course, the NRA annual meeting for this year, which was supposed to be in Nashville, it was canceled. Because it was canceled, now we just don't know what's going on. The NRA has to have a meeting of the members per its bylaws every year. And in the bylaws, it specifically states that the members' meeting can be held no later than November 30th. Well, this past week, we learned that the members' meeting is now scheduled for September 5th. Now, still, it's in a state of disarray and chaos. At the annual meeting each year, the 76th director is elected. So you have a an election of, say, I forget what it is actually. This year was like 33 persons who would be elected. I believe it's 25 each year that will be elected, plus one for a 1-year term on the board of directors, elected by the members at the members meeting. And we have no clue, we have no guidance on how the 76th director will be elected yet. Oh man. Now, of course, the members meeting is a very big deal if you're like us trying to make positive changes in the NRA. I mean, it's a huge deal. It's monumental. This might be our very last shot of reforming the NRA before it literally gets destroyed. Now, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that, right? Obviously, I would want to see a lot of changes. Save the second, we have 5 goals particularly, and we've seen one of those accomplished thus far, but it may be too little too late. Now, at the members meeting, we have a lot more that we can do as members, but it all revolves around you showing up. Anthony, what do you think, man? It might be a long shot, but it is a shot to try to get guys there at the members meeting and to see these changes happen. You think we can do it?
So we talked about this a little bit off the air earlier. People may be thinking the members meeting is a real long shot, but I wanted to explain to you why this members meeting, this rescheduled one, may actually be even better for reform. The member meeting, as it was scheduled prior to take place in Nashville, basically it's a multi-day dog and pony show where they have all sorts of friggin' booths, and everybody from Chuck Norris to insert famous person here out there signing autographs, and it's just a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of vendors and booths and just a bunch of crap. So it draws a bunch of extra people to it who will probably attend the members meeting, but they're uninformed. They're people who aren't really watching the controversies, people who may just support WLP because he's WLP. Now it's been rescheduled to September 5th in Springfield, Missouri. This is good for us because it does not include all of the extra shows, all of the extra sideshow attractions, the circus. It doesn't have the trapeze artists and the elephants anymore. Now it's just the members meeting and the board meeting. As far as I understand, they've not announced anything else. As far as I understand, that's all we've got. Because they've just announced Saturday as being the members meeting, which Saturday is always the members meeting, followed by either Sunday or Monday is going to be the board meeting.
Monday.
It's Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
So Monday is going to be the board meeting. This is good for us because the people who are actually going to attend this meeting are the ones who are worried about the association. We're not going to have all the looky-loos that showed up just to go to the booths and stuff. The ones who probably support Wayne Lapierre, or the ones that don't know anything about what's going on. And believe it or not, there are a very large number of those people that don't know what's going on, because they're the ones that just read the American Rifleman magazine or whatever the heck it is they send out. They're the ones
the official journal.
The official journal, yes. They're the ones that answer the phone calls and answer the spam mail and send money back in, and they don't actually keep up with what's going on in the organization other than the official organization articles, which we all know are generally full of shit. So the people that are showing up to this meeting are the ones who care. That's going to be me, you, Ron. That's going to be the people who are listening to this, hopefully, if you can come. We've also got a couple more things on our side. Springfield is much cheaper than Nashville. The prices in Nashville, just the tickets there were expensive. Finding a place to stay was ridiculous. The prices right next to the dang place were like $500 a night. Here in Springfield, Missouri, it is way cheaper. You're looking at $50-$70 a night. It's normal pricing. And it's only going to be for the 3 days you want to stay for the board of directors meeting. I highly recommend you do. So we've got a lot going in our favor here. If you show up, I really think this gives us the best chance of getting this done. So you need to be there because this will give us the opportunity to introduce motions on the floor. Now, Ron, you were there last year as this was going down, as it was going on. Do you want to give maybe like a brief synopsis of what that members meeting was like?
Absolutely. So I went into the members meeting last year. It was the first time that I'd ever been to a meeting of the members, NRA meeting of the members. And, I sat in not knowing what to expect. Well, after a 2-hour cheerleading, pat ourselves on the back session, we got down to resolutions where persons in the crowd, members, can write resolutions. One of the resolutions that was presented in front of the members there was a resolution to remove Wayne Lapierre and Josh Powell from the NRA. It was big. It was huge. And of the people that were defending Wayne Lapierre, they were almost entirely NRA board of directors. Jim Porter, Marion Hammer. There were several of these. Tom King was another. There were several of these that quickly rose to the defense of Wayne Lapierre, probably because they had something to lose. And it wasn't their Second Amendment rights. It was some sort of favor or kickback or status or, something that they treasured that had nothing to do with the state of the NRA then. And of course, now it's much, 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 much worse. I got up and I debated Jim Porter. I wrote about it. You can go read it on our website. I posted that whole thing a while ago. But inevitably, what happened was there weren't enough persons in that crowd that were familiar with the problems going on in the NRA. They were just there and thinking that, NRA is awesome, and I'm glad to be a member. And then all of a sudden there's a resolution to remove Wayne Lapierre, and like, wait, what's going on? So there was a lot of people that were clueless and confused. Now, not so much. Now, especially if you're showing up, there's going to be one of two groups. There's going to be the group that wants to see change and is going to fight for it. Obviously, we're going to fight, within the bylaws and so on, and respectfully and that sort of thing. But you are also going to have the other camp, the camp that is there specifically to defend one person, Wayne Lapierre. And so because of that, this year will be very different from last year. Obviously, the numbers will probably be down from last year, I would assume. But also you're going to have that contrast. You're either for Wayne Lapierre or you aren't. So, and if any of the NRA board of directors are watching this right now, I would absolutely beg you to have a nomination ready to go against Wayne Lapierre at the board meeting that's following, because I guarantee you there's going to be resolutions on the floor to the effect of removing Wayne Lapierre and other, relevant resolutions that would be very beneficial for not only the betterment of the NRA, but the survival of the NRA. There's been a lot of people that say that, hey, we just need to let the NRA go. Like it's been a lame duck, it's supported gun control. It's supported the bump stock ban. It hasn't done anything to repeal the National Firearms Act, which has silencers and machine guns and short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns all on it, that requires a $200 tax stamp for those items. Hasn't done anything for that. So we're probably better off without them. We're probably better off with, for example, as people would say, like Firearms Policy Coalition or Second Amendment Foundation or Gun Owners of America or something else. I absolutely disagree with that. We need every group. We need more groups fighting for the Second Amendment. Okay. And specifically, one as large as the NRA, if the NRA can be reformed and become what it's supposed to be, oh my gosh, how much easier would it be to defend the Second Amendment and to promote the expansion of the Second Amendment? So this members meeting is absolutely critical if you want to see your Second Amendment rights, especially within the view of the NRA. If you want to see them, the Second Amendment rights defended for and expanded through the NRA, because I guarantee you it's in the same way that it's been, it will continue unless there is positive change. That's my thoughts, Anthony. What about you, man?
Yeah, a lot of people may not realize why the NRA is important. especially right now. Why are they still relevant? Why are they a thing that we want to keep around? Why don't we just let it die? The reason being is that the NRA, over the past amount of years that they've been around, it's been a very long time. I'd have to go do the math.
1871, we're at 149 years.
Okay, thank you. 149 years. They have managed to build A, name recognition and brand recognition, and B, they have a very large and established base of followers. A lot of people know them, they follow what they do, and you have no idea how difficult it is to establish a base that large, a following that large. That's not something you just want to give away. That's not something you can just establish in a year. That's not something you can even just pay X amount of dollars in advertising and get. Believe me, if that was the case, there'd be people doing it all the time. It's not. The only way you can establish a base of membership like that is time. So to give up something like that would be an incredible and devastating blow to the Second Amendment. What we need to do is get new leadership in there that's able to harness what they have going for them, and they have a lot of great things going for them. They already have these networks in place to conduct a lot of grassroots stuff. They have a lot of great committees that do a lot of good work. They do a lot of the training. They do a lot of educational stuff, and they can anyway. I know they've stopped doing a lot of it, but they can. They have the ability to. All of these things are very, very important to Second Amendment rights. We just need to get leadership in there that takes advantage of these opportunities. And that's why we don't want to get rid of them.
Absolutely. So, hey, September 5th in Springfield, Missouri at the Springfield Expo Center. The meeting will take place in the halls A, B, and C, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie of the Expo Center, starting at 9 a.m. Central Time. All members are invited to attend. Let me read to you the NRA bylaws, which deals with this. Article 3, Section 8A, Annual Meeting of the Members. The association shall hold an annual meeting of the members to receive the report of the election of directors and to transact such other business as may properly come before the meeting at such time and place, and shall be determined by the board of directors, but in no case later than November 30th of each calendar year. Notice of time and place of such meeting shall be published in consecutive issues of the official journal of the association, not less than twice prior to the holding of the meeting. So September is why they have a issue of the June American Rifleman, the July and the August, 2 consecutive months that they'll be able to publish this particular date and all that good stuff. All members, okay, now this is one of the other bylaws, not in, Article 3, Section 8A. All members have the right to be heard at all meetings of the members. All members, not just your life members, not your patron, endowment, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, magenta, diamond-hearted, blue, silver, gold members. All members. Now, it is important also to note that voting eligibility within the NRA is going to be something that is highly important here, because if you are voting eligible, then when a resolution is on the floor, you get to vote. Okay, now all members can be heard. Any member can go write a resolution at the meeting of the members, but voting eligible members are what we will absolutely need to show up in droves. All right, Anthony, go for it.
Yeah, if you're not aware of what a voting eligible member is, that's lifetime or higher, or a yearly member who has been a yearly member for 5 or more consecutive years. If you're unclear as to whether that applies to you, you can call the membership number and they will tell you. And then there's a question here in the chat I wanted to address real quick. Gentleman asks, the real question, is there any way to get rid of Wayne Lapierre without destroying the NRA in the process? And the question is yes, absolutely yes. Wayne Lapierre is not the NRA. He's been associated with it for a while, but he's not the only executive vice president they've ever had. He's not the only CEO they've ever had. And in fact, there are ways in the bylaws to A, get rid of him, or B, just replace him as time goes on. So yeah, he can absolutely be removed without destroying the NRA. He's like a CEO of a company. They come and go all the time. All we have to do is make it happen.
Totally agree. And it's so awesome to see so many of you in the comments, guys. I'm over here on a soapbox, and I'm like, oh, look over at the comments and just kind of shocked. Jameson, great to see you. Peter, thank you so much. Ron, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're going to need you. We're going to need you so much at the meeting of the members, September 5th, 2020, Springfield, Missouri. Now, we had a few questions in our group. We have a Friends of Save the Second Facebook group. Now, I had a few of those today. So, do you think, Anthony, that it's possible Wayne Lapierre will just simply step down?
I mean, it's possible. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and based upon Wayne's past behavior, I sincerely doubt it. It's possible, yes, but unless he was threatened imminently with the thought of jail, I doubt it. Unless there was something to gain by him doing it, I don't see him doing so. So no, I don't think he's going to. I think we're gonna have to push him out.
Yeah, if you're looking at his mentality right now, if his mentality is to make sure that that William Brewer III represent him legally to keep him out of jail, well, the last thing that he wants to do is lose that. So he's probably sticking around just so if he is truly worried about going to jail, that's probably why he's sticking around.
By the way, as of April this year, so a couple of months ago, they had spent $54 million on Brewer's legal fees in the prior since April of 2018. So he had actually been retained for quite a while. So if you average that out, that's approximately $500,000 a week that they spend on Brewer.
What was the total?
54 million over 2 years. That's a lot of money.
God. All right, so that's equivalent to 1.5 million NRA memberships. Would be the annual dues for 1.5 million NRA memberships. Holy God. Yeah, and we've got a friend watching on YouTube who says, I want the NRA focused upon defending the Second Amendment without compromise. Same, 100% the same. And guess what? That money is, instead of defending the Second Amendment, it's going to defend Wayne Lapierre. What the frick? Oh, Brian Dew has a very interesting comment. He says, I don't know much about the whole controversy right now, but I'm listening to a podcast called Gangsters of Capitalism, Tells the Dark History. I listened to all of that, Brian. A couple of my friends were actually interviewed on that. Rob Pincus and Andy Lander, a couple of our friends, Anthony and I's friends that work with in Save the Second together. Yeah, that is 100% true. 100%. Now, of course, Gangsters of Capitalism, that's a podcast. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts if you're not familiar. I would encourage you to go and listen to that, because at every turn, there's some other dumpster fire. It's not just one problem. It's a cascading fall, a domino fall of all these dumpster fires that converge into what is currently the National Rifle Association of America. Yeah. So, which is why, of course, I mean, if you understand the problems, then you should understand what the correction is, ultimately. What do you think, Anthony?
I think you're right. I think Gangster Capitalism, name of the podcast.
Oh, sorry, Gangster Capitalism.
If you have not listened to that yet, go find that podcast. They did a series on the NRA. It's very good if you'd like to hear the background. There's another question in here I'd like to address real quick. In the Friends of Save the Second group, all the way at the bottom here, VJ Menu, I don't know, I probably just butchered your name, asked a couple of questions. Is the NRA willing to have a third-party investigative audit of all financials done? And the answer to that is no, because they've been asked again and again, even by board members, to have that done, and they refuse to do so. There were several board members who resigned, and in their resignation even put they think that's what should happen. or excuse me, they sent a letter prior to their resignations calling for a third-party audit, and the executive committee or whoever it was that made the decision on it has pretty much said no. Number 2 here, will they reduce the number of board members down to 9 or number significantly lower? Reducing the number of board members is one of our goals. They don't want to, but we do. So they're not going to do it voluntarily, but we definitely want that to happen. And then thirdly here, when are they going to allow full access to all meetings for members with no exceptions? So you, as a member, you can actually go to all the committee meetings and the board meeting. You can go into all of them. Sometimes, in fact, Reed, most of the time, they do go into an executive session, and a lot of the committees and the board meetings to talk about privileged information. Other than that, they are open to members. And as of this last board meeting, it seemed like a lot of them did their best to allow us access and keep the executive session stuff to a minimum. So if you would like to go to them, I highly recommend doing so. They should have a lot of committee meetings the same week as the members meeting. So.
Yeah, of course, our knowledge of when these committee meetings, there's 37 standing committees of the NRA. Our knowledge on when those committees meet isn't publicized. In some cases we have to, find some board member that has some sort of itinerary, or, contact, the committees themselves to try to find out information if they would even respond to messages. In January, when we went to the NRA Board of Directors meeting in January, I totally agree. They were trying to at least make it more hospitable for the average member. But still, there's a reason why they want to go into executive session so much. Now, of course, executive sessions are in some cases necessary. So if they're talking about who to support in a civil case, or something like that, they don't want to have, all these details that come out that can, or conversations that come out and make them look silly or stupid or support the wrong person or something like that. So, I mean, there are some considerations where executive session is very much important, and especially with the opposition. The opposition to the Second Amendment wants to know everything that the NRA is doing, and so they would just love to jump at the opportunity to see what the NRA's game plan is in, let's say, Virginia, right? Virginia is one of these states that just went full tyrannical blue, and now you have so many more restrictions on firearms there. So, I mean, executive session is important, but you're right. In years past, they haven't been very hospitable to their members. With a leadership change, obviously, that would be possible, that they would be even more open and inclusive, and actually utilize the, say, 144,000 instructors that the NRA credentials to do something, to rally together to a common cause. Until there's a leadership change, I don't think any of that is plausible. So we're about 38 minutes in. Guys, we'll try to follow up probably next week or the week after to provide a little bit more information on our plans at the members meeting. We want you involved. We want you there. We want you. Honestly, okay, I'm trying to set up a range day so we can go and shoot something, and have a good time. I'm hoping that's going to work. We'll see about that. But we'll definitely have more information coming out soon. Anthony, we covered quite a bit of that. Is there anything else that we should go in and cover before we close out?
No, nothing I can really think of. We'll have to come back with some of the propositions that we want to do, or some of the resolutions we want to do and whatnot, on a future podcast, maybe next weekend or the weekend after, like you said. The range day sounds like a great idea. If you'd like to do that, let us know. We're trying to set something up, maybe like the Sunday between the two meetings. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But that could be pretty fun if a whole lot of supporters get together. We could have some fun. So other than that, I have nothing else.
And by the way, I did get a new toy.
Oh God,
that Dot Life, man, that Trijicon RMR. This is the RM01 3.25 MOA dot on my Glock 19. Brownell Slide, by the way, Agency Barrel. Oh, yeah. I would love to be able to let any and every person that comes to a range day shoot this. Hopefully we'll be able to get that squared away. My gosh, folks, I hope that I have hope. I have hope that we can make our NRA better. I have hope that we can make it strong, relevant, effective, and accountable to the members, to us. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So to wrap up, like I had been previously, I got to tell you this quote, this John F. Kennedy quote: "To state the facts, frankly, is not to despair the future nor indict the past. The prudent heir takes careful inventory of his legacies and gives a faithful accounting to those of whom he owes an obligation of trust." We got to point out the problems in order to fix them. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Our podcast can be found on your favorite podcast app. We have a website, which we need to update a little bit more often. It's savethe2a.org, save2a.org. Nick Dooley is the voiceover in our introduction. All of us at Save the Second are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Anthony's a volunteer. We're all volunteers. And a special thanks to those of you who have believed in us and our cause and have donated to Save the Second. You helped us out with petition drives previously. So very thankful for your generosity, your help, your support. And please, 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 please join us September 5th in Springfield, Missouri, so that we can have a better, stronger, more effective, accountable NRA. You guys take care. Happy birthday to the U.S. Army. See you later.